Fred, the show started, Fred.
Which?
It's live right now.
You're what?
It's live now.
This one.
They're watching.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Wrestlin Fred, here for Mike in the Evening. I'm a special correspondent here at SummerSlam weekend. I am obviously here in Brooklyn, New York. I'd like to thank the NYPD for carrying me in their car exactly 1 court-ordered mile away from the Barclays Center where it's all going down. I'd like to throw it to my good friend Mike Falzone in the studio doing some kind of fancy schmancy after show for this whole SummerSlam extravaganza. In case anyone cares what he says about SummerSlam, you watch SummerSlam, you had a great time, and now we're doing this show and they wanted to let me anywhere near the building. Anyway, should be good. Fred, thank you so much for that, whatever that was in the back alley there. You look unsafe, to be completely honest. Hello and welcome to the Mike in the Evening time. Don't be confused by the microphone. SummerSlam after show. We're going to talk about every one of the 4 hours of this show, and we're going to have a great time. Fred, is there anything else that you wanted to add? And you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned until the end because I'll be getting my hands on a mystery opponent. Ooh, can you see my biceps? In the camera, was that 4K? I'll be getting my hands around the neck of a mystery opponent. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Wish me the best. He's very angry. You notice how angry he was when he walked away? Where do you think he's going? Do you think there's any way that he makes it through the rest of the night alive? Did you guys like SummerSlam? Tell me in the chat. We time watching the whole thing. I have pages upon pages of perforated notes to tell you about. Not going to spend too much time on anything, really. We're just going to kind of buzz through. I'm going to talk to you guys in the chat. We got some video packages too. And we're going to have a great time. Let's start with the kickoff show, which I fell asleep during and was woken up by the pizza guy. So shout outs to Mulberry Pizza, not a sponsor. I'd like to start off by saying that David Otunga looks like an action figure. And I think it's mostly beard related. He has this beard. Isaac, the producer, were you able to see his beard? He looks like... he is one of the G.I. Joe characters, like the G.I. Joe cartoon or the G.I. Joe action figure, but not the small ones, the bigger ones that you can. They were Barbies for boys. What? What are you saying, Zoe? Oh, the audio is effed up? We got some effed up audio problems? I'm going to fight through it. Can you guys hear anything? The rest of the stream is just going to be me asking if you could hear anything. Is that a big problem? So can you not hear me at all? Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to... They're saying there's no audio?
Oh, just the left ear.
Oh, it's just the left ear. Oh, deal with it. Just close your right ear.
The left ear.
I guess I'm going to run through the kickoff show. Is that all right?
It cuts for a second when they swap the camera. We can hear only the left ear.
Oh. Oh, okay. Well, they're working on the audio. I'm sorry about that. Let's start over with David Otunga's beard. Makes him look like a cartoon character. Okay, moving on. Peter Rosenberg, formerly of radio fame, standing next to JBL on the entrance ramp, doing kind of like a little rundown of the show. Hilarious because Peter is so much smaller than JBL, and he looks like a little kid looking up at his dad. And even if you look at the way they hold the microphone, Peter Rosenberg is like, hey, I hold the microphone like this. And then JBL is like, I got monster hands. You listen to me. I got monster hands, and I come from down south. I'm very rich, and I don't really take anything seriously what anybody else has to say. And I also hold the microphone like this. And back to Peter Rosenberg, dainty hands. Dainty professional microphone hands. And that was most of the morning show kickoff show, Jesus, for me. And then we throw to a match, Cien Almas and Zelina Vega versus Rusev and Lana. So kind of like a luchador versus Russian Bulgarian situation. Never quite understood if they were Russian or Bulgarian, and I think it's meant to be a little what word am I looking for? Ambiguous. What does ambiguous mean? Is that just it's not a word. Ambiguous, just pretend I said ambiguous first then, so everybody's on the same page. Really, the only thing I want to say about this match is Cien Almas and Zelina Vega, most attractive couple I've ever seen in my entire life. And they're flawless. And it kind of makes... If they were better at being bad guys, it makes you want to see them get hit in the face. But they look like paintings. They look like they're fighting paintings. One of our producers is crawling around on the floor as if there's any cameras pointed the other way. But there's not.
Ambiguous is ridiculous and ambiguous.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we'll keep it like that. It's not Rhino Ball's the funniest person on this show right now, and he's not even in front of the camera either. Yeah, that was pretty much it. They had a good old-fashioned pose-off. That was fun. Cien Almas and his sexy girlfriend win with a roll-up after Lana gets distracted. Wrestlers always getting distracted. That sounds like a stand-up premise for tag team wrestling. Wrestlers be getting distracted, and then they get pinned, and then that's it. Who do we have next? Oh, Drew Gulak and Cedric Alexander from 205 Live. Those are the skinny, high-flying boys is what the show should be called. Tune in, 7 o'clock. We got a bunch of skinny, high-flying boys. And that was fun. One thing I didn't understand about this match is this is a championship match, by the way, 1 of 9 that took place tonight. And halfway through the match, they cut to a promo for, like a commercial for SummerSlam. And first things first, you're already watching SummerSlam. So mission accomplished. Probably could have saved yourself some time there. Also, who cuts to a promo in the middle of, or a commercial in the middle of a title match? Where's the suspension of disbelief? Anything could happen. Somebody could win, and then we would have missed it. And then what then? How do you explain that away? It's almost like it's predetermined. I mean, it's obviously predetermined, but I don't want to know that while it's happening. You know, I'm fine with that afterwards. And then we start the show, and what better way to start the show? Terry Crews coming on and yelling, and he yelled so many things, and I didn't retain any of them because I was watching the bucket drummer. He had a bucket drummer next to him, probably because they're in Brooklyn, and the bucket drummers are all over the place. I don't know if you've been into the subway, not the sandwich shop, but the train tube. And Terry Crews was yelling, and then I had to let the pizza guy in. So that'll do it for the kickoff show. Page of notes number 2. There's so much technology in this room, and this is what the notes are coming from. I could have written on an iPad, could have written on my Samsung, Google, Chromebook, but I didn't. Kind of a future sponsor, but not a current sponsor. Anybody saying anything sexy in the chat?
We got the audio working properly. So
Great.
Excited about that.
Everyone's excited about being able to hear the video.
The pre-show on TV and Facebook and stuff where you don't get to watch the actual stuff.
Oh, that's nice. So the pre-show was available free to everyone, so they had to disrespect the skinny boys in order to get more subscribers. Well, I hope it worked. Great job breaking the sweat, skinny boys. I suppose if you do it early on in the match, the skinny boy match, you know that they have enough endurance to last at least until the 30-second commercial is over.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that with like Big E or something like that.
No. None of them fat babies. First match of the night, if I remember correctly, and some of these might be out of order, but we got Dolph Ziggler with just a mammoth man in his corner. What's his name? Drew Galloway? Something like that. Drew looks... Ooh, he's like a giant action figure. I got to burp. How much time did that take up? Are we running over? It was tiny. We got a problem with the audio again. We couldn't hear the burp. So Dolph and Drew, something Scottish, and then Seth Rollins, and the return of Dean Ambrose back from the barbershop, from the Brutus Beefcake barbershop. And he's all jacked up kids, and he has traps now, and he looks a little less angry, but he looks more of an internal type of angry. And he looks like a little mini Triple H now with his hair buzzed, but I like it. I wasn't a big fan. He has the male pattern baldness, and can't help that, right? Hims isn't a sponsor of the WWE, so he can't help that. But he had really stringy, kind of receding hair, and I like his hair. I heard somebody on a podcast talking shit about it, and I was like, no, this is a good change. This is a change for the better. He actually does that thing where he has kind of a crew cut, and it's all combed forward now. And I had that in 7th grade. And there's a picture of me in 7th grade in a red Old Navy performance fleece, taking a picture of myself, MySpace angle, in a mirror. And there was no selfie cameras back then. So I had, it's a real picture that exists. I had the camera above my head, just out of, so you can't see my hands. So it could be a photographer, but probably not, because you can't fit a photographer where the bathroom sink is. And I took the picture, and the only indication that I was taking a picture of myself is that the wrist strap for the digital camera is hanging down, and I'm doing like I could be in Third Eye Blind, but I'm not, kind of a look. Anyway, that's what Seth Rollins looks like now. So what happened? Oh, Seth, he was wearing something that's kind of like I read on the internet quickly that it was a tribute to Thanos. If you're into the whole, if you saw the Thanos movie. What was it? Thanos 2, Lost in the City? I don't remember. What exactly? Sleepless in the outer parts of the universe, where Thanos and Drew Barrymore find love after a memory loss situation. But he was dressed up like a superhero, and that was nice for nerds. And then he was kind of dressed like his regular ring attire was like most Star Wars characters. He had black stormtrooper pants. Not stormtroopers, they're all white, right? But he had like black, like villainous pants, but one of his legs was golden. He had the Midas toes. Just the Midas toes. And his leg looked like a C-3PO leg, and the rest of his pants were black. Ooh, he looks sleek. And he's a good-looking boy because he does that CrossFit. And that's a little lesson to you. There's some people in the chat right now, if Ryan Balls is still here, he's a cut-up boy, and he'll tell you that he'll flip a tire or two. Yeah. Anyone saying anything in the chat about...
Someone wants to know if you listen to any wrestling podcasts, and if so, which ones?
Yeah, I listen to the Steve Austin podcast. I listen to Jim Ross's podcast from time to time, and I listen to Colt Cabana's podcast, but that's more of like an indie wrestling journeyman type of a situation. They don't really talk about the WWE so much. But then on the WWE Network, non-sponsor, there is a podcast called Something Else to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson. Thank you. And those are the ones that I listen to. So go check all of those out. I just gave you a week's worth of listening material. And then we have a note here. It says Drew's body resembles the first guy Achilles kills in Troy. You ever see Troy? I didn't, but the producer did. And he made sure that I had that knowledge. Now I can't get it out of my head. I had a close friend of mine recently tell me that I had to see the movie Troy. And then I told Isaac that somebody told me that. And he was like, why? It's not that good of a movie. And now I don't trust any of my friends. Second match was a tag team match. Tag team championship. Bludgeon Brothers, who we'll get to in a second, and the New Day, which is one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Xavier Woods, Big E Langston, and Kofi Kingston versus the Bludgeon Brothers, who are not quite Vikings. They're not quite demons, but they are big. And they have beards, and they used to be hillbillies, but no longer. and they lost direction, they lost their way, and now they have horns when they come to the ring. So you figure it out, because I have no more mental energy to waste on what they could be. I would call them Nightmare Vikings. Jason? Nightmare Vikings? Isaac? Are we all in agreement?
I go with Nightmare Vikings.
Nightmare Vikings. Or Death Pirates. They look like the pirates that are on, what's the thing on Game of Thrones where they have icy boats? And they show up on icy boats and they're pirates.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
No, they have a boat, you know? What am I thinking of? The one where they're all dead and they're on the boat. Oh, that Johnny Depp.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean, when Johnny Depp is in the desert doing all those drugs. Oh my God, should not have this much fun by myself. And it just says that Bludgeon Brothers freak me out. And it says no idea what they are or what they're supposed to be. Nightmare Vikings wins it. Do you think they're Nightmare? Let us know in the chat.
Some new wax says Nightmare Vikings sound like a metal band that helps out charities for
Nightmare Vikings sounds like, can you hear Isaac? Tell me in the chat if you can hear Isaac, so I don't have to repeat everything he says. Oh, he said Nightmare Vikings. Somebody in the chat said Nightmare Vikings sounds like a death metal band that helps out charities in their spare time. For kitten shelters. Accurate. I like it. Xavier Woods delivers a huge elbow to the outside. Dude, my boy Xavier Woods did this thing where the Bludgeon Vikings are on the outside of the ring, and he stood up on the top turnbuckle, right? And it looked like for a second he could have been like, oh, he's too far away. I'm outie 5,000, right? But then he looked around and everyone, let's say there's 30,000 people there in the Barclays Center. Everyone rose to their feet. So now it's like if you're a wrestler in the second match of SummerSlam, one of the big 4 pay-per-views, 30,000 people are starting to stand up and get excited. There's only one way to go, baby. And that's to Injury Town. You're going to jump 2 feet into Injury Town. And that's what he did. He delivered massive elbow to the outside, to the floor. And he immediately hurt most of his ribs. And that's an unfortunate situation. And I said here, what if he didn't want to jump and then everyone is on their feet? And that's like getting peer pressured from 30,000 people at once. And I think that's how most videos get made on the internet. A lot of people doing things they don't want to do, but they know it'll get a couple of likes. And that's why I get no viewers, but I'm having a great time and I enjoy my life so much. So it's a give and take. And you have to decide what you want. And you live it and you make it. And you make the life you live and you give the ones you take. And the Bludgeon Brothers hit everyone with a hammer and then the match ended. And then that was the end of that. they just says. Yeah. They gave hammer times. It was hammer time again. Since the first time since 1993, it was hammer time.
They say they can kind of hear me.
Oh, good.
Yes.
That's great. We got to get you a mic next time because this is wonderful.
Yeah, we'll have a better situation.
So kind of a weird end to a pay-per-view match where if it's a pay-per-view, you kind of want... yeah.
The hammers are made of
A foam. Wait, honestly, or what my heart wants them to be made out of? A steel not crafted of anything of this earth. Meteorite steel is what I want them to be made out of. Or just like shaped meteorites. Like they fell to earth. They had to wait for them to fall to earth and cool down because of atmospheric heat. Right? And then, attach them to a wooden stick, get an element we know in there involved, and then you hit people and you get disqualified for the championship.
McCoy says, I think Vince saw how much everyone loved Triple H use the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Said, make it bigger.
Yeah, what can we do? That's kind of like Triple H's sledgehammer, but 2 of them and bigger. So that's, it's weird to have a pay-per-view ending to a match where it's kind of like a DQ finish or a what do they call it? Hoopla, bit of gobbledygook at the end. You want a decisive finish in especially a big pay-per-view like SummerSlam, but it's okay. It gets some real heat on the Bludgeon Brothers, and it gives you a reason to hate them, gives you a reason to cheer for New Day even more, going back after those titles. They had them for so long, Isaac. New Day had them for so long. And now the Mystery Viking Boys have them. Give the Mystery Viking Boys a belt. Make that a hashtag. Trend that nationwide is on your side. We're having a great time. So they technically lose the match, but you can't lose your titles on a DQ finish. So that's that.
Next. Good pun coming in from Neglected Robin. It says a hammer. They were talking about they wanted the hammers to be made out of meat.
Yeah.
Was a good option.
A meat tenderizing hammer called a hammer. So would it be hammer?
Hammer.
Okay. Okay. Well, here's my official grade for that pun. Fine. That one gets a capital F plus.
A lot of cheers for staying
Yeah. This, and I'd like to bring my first official sponsor of the night, water. It's all around us. Gotta tell you, this flannel was a bad idea. Next, we got Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. Probably the funniest feud because Kevin Owens, who is a heel and a little weaselly boy, and rotund, and that there needs to be more fat wrestlers. There's only 2 of them. And I'd like to see more fat wrestlers because back in the golden era of wrestling, there were only like 4 jacked wrestlers, and then everyone was fat. And it made you think that you could go down the street and see that guy eating a sandwich in a bar and be like, where'd you get the sandwich from? And you could identify with those people. But I really like Kevin Owens, even though I'm not supposed to because he's a bad guy. But I also really like Braun Strowman because he doesn't even look human anymore, man. He's gigantor. He's like 7 feet tall, and he's not fat at all. He's just like, he looks like a wall with a ponytail. Like a wall decided to have a ponytail. Before the match, we were saying that it's not even fair. It's not even fair to fight Braun Strowman because he's gigantic and he doesn't look like any other human beings. It's crazy. We got a Braun Strowman nip slip a couple seconds in to the match. Ultra important. And then Braun Strowman just destroys Kevin Owens all over the floor. Did some horrible things. Kevin Owens, man, for a big guy, he could take a bumsky doodle. He was flipping around. Ooh, he was like one of those tops, like in Inception. He looked like the top. Am I thinking of the right movie with Johnny Depp when he's in the desert taking drugs on the ship, on the icy ship? But, dude, Braun was running just completely through him, and Kevin Owens would do like 3 flips before he hit the ground. The match did not last long at all, which ties back into our first point. It's not even fair for a regular earthborn human being to fight Braun Strowman. Everyone's getting these hams.
Insomniac says a bump doodle. What is that? Is that what your mom calls sex when she's at church?
Bumsky, yeah, it is a very mom way of describing sexual intercourse. And then the man, and the female fall in love. And only a male and a female, and that's the only correct way since we're in church. And then they do a bumsky doodle, which alerts the stork of the delivery for a baby. And then the stork, of course, finds a cloth somewhere and puts a baby in a cloth, ties him up real nice, and drops him from a reasonable height onto your back porch. And then you have a sister. And that's how you do bumsky doodle. I might be skipping a match here, but I got AJ and Samoa Joe next. Can we fact check that? No? Everybody doing other stuff? So Braun Strowman won that match, if that wasn't clear, by Kevin Owens getting exactly 0 offense in to that match. AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, tale as old as time. These guys have been fighting in all sorts of different... I think they fought in Impact Wrestling. But for years, they've had a feud going on, but I don't think they've ever fought in... and I could be wrong about this, WWE. So the story leading up to this is that Joe somehow got a mysterious letter from, I'm going too fast. Joe had a letter a couple weeks ago, and the letter said he read it to AJ, and it said something like, AJ loves wrestling more than he loves his family, and that's why he's never home. And he looks for any excuses not to be home. And Samoa Joe, I hope you beat AJ real bad and don't send him home because he loves wrestling more than his home. But then, so AJ's wife is sitting ringside at SummerSlam, and Joe is there, and she's doing the she's not mic'd up, so she's doing the disappointed head movements, which leads me to believe Samoa Joe wrote a letter in AJ Styles' wife's handwriting, which is the creepiest thing I've heard in weeks. Right? That's like me writing myself a letter from Mia and being like, well, let me tell you something. Mia says your cooking's not that great and we should fight about it in front of her. It's exactly the same thing. No. No, unless you look like Samoa Joe, another fat wrestler who are the best. So far, 2 wrestlers having match of the night were the chubby ones. Thank you, chat.
Trying to trend that. Make wrestlers fat.
Make wrestlers fat again. Put it on a red hat so we could take those back as well. Dude, these were great. This is another one of those cool wrestling things because it's a long arcing storyline and they've known each other and their characters have hated each other for years. So that's just like, it's easy to get invested in. Also, I like that AJ came out with the purple Undertaker gloves. He has he chooses one bright color and black and he sticks to it. And this time it was like bright 1997 purple and it was the best. Pre-match promo where AJ says kick your ass in front of his daughter. Okay, so AJ grabs the mic before the match even starts and he says, I'm got my family here for one reason, and that's for my little girl who is probably 2-ish. Watch me kick your ass. And hopefully she doesn't understand that potty language yet, AJ. Your father. Okay? How do you think this is how swearing spreads. But AJ is very upset, and they really played up the whole thing like, it's too personal, Samoa Joe. You can't be bringing my family's handwriting into this. And they really wanted to bring that home. Match was very physical. A lot of slaps, a lot of angry slaps, a lot of back and forth. Samoa Joe looks like a club bouncer with a shirt off, I said here. They're telling a great story. It's crazy to see AJ pick up Samoa Joe because AJ Styles is like, break the illusion for anyone, but he's like my height. I think he's like 5'10", and he's picking up Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's like 270 pounds. He looks like a Samoan bowling ball. And AJ is just picking him up and throwing him around, and he gets him in the Styles Clash, and he almost broke his neck. And I was very worried. So at one point, AJ's down and Samoa Joe's standing on a table. And Samoa Joe grabs a microphone. I don't know why I mime that when I already have a microphone in my hands. So Samoa Joe goes like this. If you can imagine that. And looks at AJ's family sitting ringside, his little girl and his wife, and says, Wendy, I promised you that AJ it wasn't coming home, and I'm going to keep that promise. And then he says, I'll be your new daddy. And you don't say that in wrestling, because then that forces the good guy to be real mad. And you know what happens when the good guy gets real mad. Bad guy's going to lose. We know that from Hulk Hogan times, way before racism. And so AJ flips out and kills Joe with a chair. So at that point, when it's personal, when it's a wrestling match and it's personal, it doesn't matter. And AJ's already the champion, came into the match as a champion, so he wasn't afraid of getting disqualified. Hits Joe several thousand times with a chair to protect the honor of his family. He gets disqualified, and he's still champion. Isaac, what is the chat saying? We got some concern from how much blood AJ shed on his family. And I'll tell you what, that's fine because AJ's blood is their blood too. It's very much like a John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt type situation. And his blood is their blood too. And whenever they go out, the people always shout, AJ, stop bleeding on your family. Oh, yeah, that's a good. Let's throw it to Wrestlin Fred, who is still obviously in a filthy alley somewhere, I'd have to assume. He's nowhere near the Barclays Center. They're probably cleaning up. He's not allowed. There's a court order. Fred, do you have anything to say about AJ bleeding on his family?
I actually don't want to talk about that at all, Mr. Poopy Pants. What I want to talk about is why the show is named Mike in the Evening and not Fred Before Bed. I think he had a real great opportunity, and it was right there in front of you. Mike in the Evening doesn't even rhyme. Fred Before Bed. Rest your hand with Fred Before Bed. I don't know. I'm not going to do all the work for you.
Yeah. Then we got thanks, Fred, for whatever you're trying to do out there. Also, why would we name the show after Fred if he's just kind of in it? He's very selfish. Hey, Fred, win something, and then you'll have something named after you. You're lucky you're named after you because you're terrible. Yeah. When you save up to buy a ticket, maybe we'll start calling you by your name. You can get a segment after that. And you had a show on the Rock's YouTube channel, and it got canceled. So you can't keep anything, can you, Fred? You don't even anymore. Respect yourself. Women's triple threat match. This was interesting. We got Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Carmella. Does Carmella have a last name? Carmella, probably something Italian. Just write out a bunch of letters and put an O at the end, and that's she's from Staten Island. Here's the thing about Carmella. I think she's the champion at this point in time. She is the heel. I think the crowd will hate anyone who has a terrible screaming voice. And she does. And boy, does she use it. Said, well, let's go over the other participants. Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's daughter, incredibly tall, was just in the ESPN body issue. Is that what they call it? The naked one. The naked issue. Yeah. But she's awesome and just like crazy to see. She's like 6'3" and she's always doing all these flips and shit. And I can't wrap my mind around what she does because she's an incredible athlete. And then Becky Lynch, who has some people are just likable, just insanely likable. And we had a couple people here who don't watch wrestling at all. Immediately were like, yeah, I like that one. And somebody just drove a car into a pool, but we're going to fight through it. Becky Lynch is incredibly likable, which made the entire crowd, 30,000 people in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, immediately want her to win. And I guess the storyline is everybody hates Carmella because she has a terrible voice. And Charlotte and Becky are like best friends. So it's like they'll fight each other because they have to and because they love the spirit of competition. And who doesn't? I'll fight Isaac right now just because we would love to see who would win. Just because we need to break a sweat. But so they're fighting and begrudgingly kind of. And Carmella's in there. And every time she has a free second, she yells, "I'm the champion!" in somebody's face. And when you have a big shiny belt with diamonds on it, you don't need to scream that because you got an indicator. You're wearing that. The reason why you're fighting. Carmella's last name is Fabulous. Fabuloso. Fabuloso, and then the emoji for kissing your fingertips like that. That's how Italian she is. Her lips also look like she's been overdosing on popsicles or Otter Pops all summer, which sounds great right now. Carmella does this thing where she's a good heel. She tries to cheat any way she can, and she does this thing that she keeps throwing back to where she she'll go for a pin and she'll tie herself up in the ropes for leverage. And she's won many matches like that. She does it all the time. But doing that once or twice is awesome, or trying to do some kind of variation of that. But doing that every single time the same way just makes the ref look so stupid. It's like you have all these video packages where this is how she won all these matches. If you're like if you have a document that says I'm a referee and I'm official and I have this little badge and I'm wearing the Foot Locker outfit and that's how you know I'm a referee, wouldn't you be looking out for like this cheating Italian? Car out of the pool and everyone seems okay. So Charlotte ends up winning, which breaks her friend's heart. And I think everyone was kind of bummed out that Becky didn't win. Charlotte has been the champion many times for an extended period of time. And everyone wanted to see her with her shot. And there's this whole thing like, should everyone get the turn with the belt just because it's there and everybody gets a turn, or should the best person always win? So Charlotte wins, breaking her best friend's heart, and then her best friend snaps and punches her really hard in the ear, and that hurt her a lot. Let me tell you, she rolled out of the ring and she was holding. I think she got boxed. I think it was a box ear situation. The problem with that is if they're trying to make. And I'm saying the problem with that, like I'm an expert. This is just one man's opinion. I could be wrong. I'm wrong most times about most things. Ask my wife. That was like Borat made out with Yakov Smirnoff for a second. I'm wrong about a lot of things. Ask my wife. So if they're trying to turn Becky into a bad guy just because she hit the good woman in the face, it's not going to work because 30,000 people still love her so much. And when she was beating up Charlotte at ringside, everyone was chanting, "You deserve it." And everyone was on their feet for Becky, and they're trying to like make her not smile anymore and like, you be pissed off, but everyone's still going to be behind her. So it'd be interesting to see what they do tomorrow night on Raw. If they're trying to make her a bad guy, and I really don't want that to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. What else we got here? What? Oh, Zoya says hello, everyone. Anyone say anything in the chat?
Zoya gets scared. Someone said Insomniac again.
Do we have one person watching the stream? Oh, 75. Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, the ears are the balls of the head for sure. You don't want to hit anyone in the ear. I used to wear earplugs throughout grade school for the same reason.
Someone said behind you looks like a really large version of your microphone.
Thank you. The microphone was actually modeled after the lamp, and we turned it on to symbolize the good ideas I'm having on a constant basis. It's from IKEA and it was cheap. Elias comes out. Elias is the wrestler who looks most like me, and he has a guitar, modern day honky tonk man. And so he came out with a guitar, and he does his bit where he insults whatever city he's in. He shit on Brooklandians for a while. The Brooklish. What do they call them? The Brooklish people. He shit on New York for a little while. And then he was like, I bet you all want to hear my new song, or whatever he said in his lispy voice, which is adorable, by the way. And then he went to go play the guitar, and the guitar just came apart. And as you can imagine, he was so perturbed. So the guitar is in two pieces, only being held together by the strings, and it begs the question, and maybe we'll find out tomorrow night on Raw, not a sponsor, who broke Elias's guitar, and why the fuck didn't he know it was broken until he went to strum it? And we got a bunch of questions to answer on live television tomorrow night. That was kind of the end of that. He was upset that his guitar broke, as any fine musician would be, and then he walked into the darkness, and it sounded like he stepped on his guitar. So Just in case you thought maybe some Gorilla Glue would fix that. Now you've got yourself a bit more of a problem because you threw a little tantrum. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. Another long arcing storyline. This thing's been going on for many years. Daniel Bryan was a rookie in NXT in 2001, and the pro that he was assigned to at the time to help him rise through the ranks was The Miz, formerly of MTV fame. Mike The Miz. Also The Challenge, you said?
I like the challenge.
Isaac likes the challenge. He might have been on the challenge. All I know is that he came out with a big zipper. One of the biggest zippers I've ever seen in my entire life, which is so confusing because have you seen a zipper? Answer in the chat. But the zip part, the zip lining was regular size, but the key to the zipper was like the key to the goddamn city. And it was a giant medallion zipper, and it seems to be getting bigger every pay-per-view. And that has to be weighing you down. So there's always been this thing where The Miz is like, he's very WWE and he wrestles in a very WWE style. And Daniel Bryan has been touring bingo halls and doing the independent circuit for years and years before he got to the WWE. So he wrestles in a very different style, and he has that badge of honor of saying, I've been all over the world. I've been in Japan. I've been in all these different places. Like, I'm the real wrestler. You're not the real wrestler. You're soft. And then Miz is saying, I'm soft. I'm the one who wrestles for the WWE 365 days a year, despite having a baby and a reality show. So you need me. And then Daniel Bryan is like, nuh-uh, you need me. Let's fight about it. And here we are. Need to catch a breath after that synopsis. Miz wins biggest zipper award is the first note that I have written here. Daniel Bryan seems to be wrestling differently during this particular match. Is way more aggressive than he normally is. He's also wearing different trunks. He's normally coming out with what is that? Why is that beeping? Oh, do we have a recording situation, or is that about to blow up? You need to tell me. You're legally obligated to tell me whether or not this is going to blow up.
Camera 2 is live now.
Camera 2, is it still streaming or is it just not recording? Oh, good. Can we take it out of the microwave? We got a bunch of popcorn in the back of this camera, and we're ready to feast. So Daniel Bryan, just this one. Okay, I'm going to miss you over here. Daniel Bryan comes out wearing blue, green, and white trunks. He's usually coming out with the red, white, and gray. But now I have written here he looks like a rec league soccer ball. And I feel like everyone had. Do you know what I'm talking about when I said? Do you remember his trunks? The lime green and bright blue. He looked like every rec league soccer uniform. You know what I'm saying?
It was really bright.
Right. Because kids, they lose things and they kick them in the woods because they're not good at hitting a giant goal. Right. So you can see it's differentiated from grass. I thought it was really, they did a bunch of cool things. Miz loves to mock Daniel Bryan's taunts and moves. And is trying to get the crowd into it by doing Daniel Bryan's yes thing. And he did the chest kicks. And then Daniel Bryan didn't sell the chest kicks. And he stands up, is very Ultimate Warrior-ish. And he starts shaking. And then he goes into his comeback sequence. And that was awesome. But it was very aggressive. So many slaps. So many different slaps. Each one harder than the last. And no, just very aggressive from Daniel Bryan. Dude, they did this one sequence, I guess you would call it, where they were on the ring apron and Miz moved and Daniel Bryan kicks the steel post, the ring post, messes his foot up real bad, and then Miz tries to capitalize on that. Figure 4. Daniel Bryan somehow gets out of it, but it did look like Miz was trying to put his foot into Daniel Bryan for a time. And I don't know that that's allowed. If you're going to enforce, if a wrestler grabs the rope, you got to break a chokehold, you shouldn't be allowed to put your boot inside of a man or a woman.
Another band name, the Yes Kicks, sounds like an 80s cover band.
The Yes Kicks does absolutely sound like an 80s cover band who only played To Be With You. What else do we have here? Oh, okay. The match goes to the outside of the ring. Miz somehow makes his way over to his wife, Maurice, who is sitting at ringside with a bassinet with her baby in it. Presumably, there was a blanket over it, so the baby could have been, maybe it was just a prop baby at the time, prop bassinet, because I didn't see the actual child. And why would you bring an actual child to a wrestling event if that's like a newborn? Too loud. There's fireworks. There's cheering. There's booze. You don't want to make a baby susceptible to booze. Not too early on. That's too much negativity for One Room and a Baby. One Room and a Baby was my favorite early 90s Tom Hanks film. And Maurice takes something out of her jacket or bra. Didn't see exactly where the hand went. Slips it to The Miz in old school wrestling heel manager fashion. And then Miz waits for the perfect moment, cold clocks him with the foreign object. This is good old school wrestling. I said it once, I'll say it again. Probably the best Miz match that I've ever seen personally. I think.
Find out what the object was?
No, never find. And that's what makes it even more old school, because normally back in the day, when somebody hit someone with a foreign object, it would just be like wrist tape. And they would tape it up in such a way where it just looked like something that you could hold. Like a ball, perhaps. Like this. Oh, God. Like this. Yes, this ball. And then and it somehow makes your fist into a super fist. And then you wait in the right time. And then Daniel Bryan, watch out, it's a foreign object. And that was great. So,
She took it out of her bra. That's why I was.
right. Well, it could be tissue paper. So the Miz technically wins. Ref didn't see any. Brass knucks. Yeah, well, Daniel Bryan would be dead if they were taped up knucks. You remember in the Mighty Ducks where they do the flying V and then they score a goal using taped up knucks? That was Michelangelo's weapon of choice as well. You remember him, the ninja, the teenage tortoise? Yeah. The ninja, the karate fighting teenage tortoise? Michelangelo. With the rap master J. So I think either the ref was out or the ref didn't see. So Miz comes away with the victory. He walks away from the ring saying, I'm better than you, and I proved that I'm better than you. Obviously it didn't, so it's an open-ended feud. They can fight 1,000 more times for all I care, because it was great, and I would love to see them fight again. And they got a great long-standing feud thing happening, and that's really cool. Finn Balor is the Constable, Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin fighting in a full suit. Why does everybody else have to wear spandex and Baron Corbin look like he just came from church? Right? I need a tissue. I got a booger situation. Zoya. Anything you could fix about my booger situation so I'm not embarrassed on the internet again for the past 12 years. Thank you so much. I got a sweat situation. I got a booger situation. Ooh, my wife. All right, great. Baron Corbin, holy God. There was a picture that they put up. Finn Balor is significantly smaller than Baron Corbin. And there was before the event on Twitter, at SummerSlam was putting up a bunch of matchup pictures, a bunch of promo stuff, and Finn Balor looked like a bearded Little League player, and then Baron Corbin's there, Constable Baron Corbin, in his checkered vest and dress shirt unbuttoned down to here, like my dad in the 70s. And it looked like bearded Little League player mad at his father, who was overbearing and always yelling at him to get closer to the plate, or else you're never going to hit anything, Mike. Take a step in, or Finn, or whoever. So Finn comes out as Demon Finn Balor, which is the shit. And this was one of my favorite matches of the night for a couple different reasons. So, oh, that's a mustache hair. Zoya, I have mustache hair. She's flipped me off. I'm going to have to fight through it. They did a bunch of cool augmented reality. Well, some were cool. Most were cool. Augmented reality things that were only you can only see if you're on television, I'm guessing. Right? That's not the way actual reality works. So if you were in person, I'm sure you had a great time, but you couldn't see any of this fancy schmancy computer shit that was going on. And I think the entrance for the Demon Finn Balor was the coolest augmented reality thing that they did, because it looked like the whole top of the arena was like a swirling red storm, like the storm on Mars. What do you know about the storm on Mars, Isaac? Tell me everything you know about the red eye of Mars.
I think you're thinking of Jupiter.
No, Mars, the red one. Which one's the red one?
Jupiter has a particular... No, Saturn?
No, Saturn has rings.
Saturn has rings. Jupiter has...
Every planet has one thing.
Jupiter has a red storm on it.
Yeah.
Mars is all red.
Why? No, Jupiter's blue. I remember from toys.
That's Neptune.
Come on, man. You know what I'm talking? The constant storm.
Agrees with me.
Chad agrees with Isaac. Jupiter takes the circle, gets the square. So it just looked really cool is my only point. It looked like a typhoon was happening. Just agree with me, Isaac. So it looked really awesome, and then the demon comes out. So Finn Balor is dressed like a normal dude most of the time. He's just like good looking dude 99% of the time. And then once a year he comes out dressed like an even crazier Ultimate Warrior. And here's where things get really interesting and really dorky. And this is like, part of this is me trying to be fun, cool guy and still trying to keep some of my coolness and not nerd out too much. But here's where all of that ends. Okay? This is where it ends. Not when I bought this. Or this. This is where it ends. Okay, so here's the scenario. Baron Corbin is expecting a regular dude to come out and fight. And this dude is way smaller than him. So Baron Corbin's like, night off, in his weird voice. I could beat this little kid with a beard, no problem. But what he's not expecting is a fucking demon to show up. Can we say fuck on the... Doesn't matter, it's my channel, right? Fucking demon. We're never going to be able to sell the show, but that's how I feel about it. And this dude comes out and he has these tassels and the strings, and his face is painted in a beautiful way, and he's really expressing his artistic ability on his face and on his back. And he has this big elaborate entrance, and he looks like a goddamn demon, and it's terrifying. And Baron Corbin he's wearing a terrified face, and he is visually terrified. Now, here's where it's over for any coolness that I have. In 1988, SummerSlam 1988, which was the first SummerSlam, the Honky Tonk Man faced a mystery opponent for the Intercontinental Championship of the world. And he gets in the middle of the ring, and he's like, you give me anyone, I don't care who it is, you send them on out. And then all the announcers were like, don't do that, because anyone can come out. And he was like, go ahead and send them out, I don't care who it is. And he said it 3 or 4 times exactly like that. Go YouTube it. I don't care who it is, go ahead and send them out, I don't care who it is. Go ahead and fact check it. Fact check? Not going to happen here, but you could do it at home. Then back in 1988, Ultimate Warrior comes out, and he beats the Honky Tonk Man in 30 seconds flat. In a similar fashion, Demon Finn Balor comes out. Baron Corbin is terrified because he was just expecting a little boy with a beard, and he gets beat in, I don't know how long it was, a little longer than 30 seconds. I think what they did was an homage, which is a real word, Isaac, to that Ultimate Warrior match from the first SummerSlam. And that's what I think happened. And I challenge anyone to prove me wrong, and I would love to talk to Vince McMahon again about his exact planning for this type of thing. But I think that's what it was, because even his facial painting was kind of resembled the Ultimate Warrior a little bit. And he was wearing these armbands and these tassels on his arm, which resemble Ultimate Warrior things. And that's what I think it was, which makes this my favorite match of the night so far. Another burp coming. I had to take a little break because that was the best. And I hope that was the case, because that's really cool. Jeff Hardy and Shinsuke Nakamura. We're deep into the face paint portion of the evening. Jeff Hardy of Hardy Boys fame. You know him. He used to solve mysteries with his brother in books. Jeff Hardy comes out with eyes painted on his eyes. Painted eyes. Close eyes. So every time he closed his eyes, he looked like he had open eyes. And that's so incredibly confusing, because every time Shinsuke Nakamura, who basically this was a match about who could be the weirdest. They fought each other over who could be the weirdest possible wrestler on the face of the planet. And they were doing each other's dances and stuff like that. And it's really worth watching. And it's kind of a testament to everyone who was on the show, because the show's so long. And at this point, the audience should by all means start losing steam. But every match was kind of perfectly placed, and there was no lull. And every match had something different, something to keep people entertained. Face paint portion of the evening, so it really kept people involved. Jeff Hardy had the eyes painted on his eyes, and every time he would wince in pain, he just looked like he was ridiculously surprised by something, or somebody had just told him a riddle that he hadn't heard before. And it's worth going back to see. I actually think that the network is doing a 2-month free trial or something like that. So hit them up. I get no money for that. That's non-spawn.
Johnny Depp had eyes painted on his eyes in that movie where he was
You see what I'm talking about with the chat being funnier than I am? Whenever I start to lose steam in this pay-per-view scenario, just throw it at the chat. That's true. Johnny Depp, in most of his movies, does have eyes painted onto eyes. Shinsuke Nakamura, here's my next note, 100% loves hitting people in the dick. And that's kind of been his go-to for a little while. All the video packages, Jeff is mad because he keeps getting hit in the dick by Shinsuke Nakamura. And then, like clockwork, Shinsuke drops to his knees. He goes to punch him in the dick, but Jeff has him scouted, and he moves back. And he's like, not this time. And then Jeff turns the tables. He hits Shinsuke in the dick. And maybe not the best match as far as setting an example goes. Maybe keep the kids' eyes, whether real or painted, away from this particular contest. Shinsuke, he breaks a hold by grabbing the ropes with the very ends of his fingertips. And that was very exciting. Oh my goodness gracious, ass-bodacious. Jeff missed a senton bomb onto the ring apron. He does this thing where he does kind of like a forward flip. He lands on you with his back, and he's been doing it since the mid-90s. And it's usually in the middle of the ring, the trampolinist part of the ring, even though it's very hard surface, but it does have a little give there. And historically, the edge of the ring is the hardest and most dense. And he did this move, and Shinsuke got out of the way, and he just landed back first from the top rope on the edge of the ring, and it was terrifying to watch. And I think I went like this, ooh! And that was an involuntary noise that I made, and I didn't mean to make that noise in front of my friends, and now they look at me different because they know that I have that noise in me. and I made it, and I don't regret it because that's how I felt.
Interesting. He did the Swanson like the rope wasn't there, but it was.
Yeah. Like he wouldn't be blocked by the ropes, but he was, and he fell on the hardest part of the ring, and he's probably bagowed, broken in half. Back out. I said great, relatively short match, and it was. At the end of the match, wait, so who won this one? Shinsuke win? Because Jeff was broken? See, Zoya disrespectfully calls Shinsuke Nakamura shit-stained Nakamura. I like that, because that man works really hard for the money. It does sound like, a bunch of things sound like it, Zoe. My name sounds like Calzone, but it ain't. A little lesson for you at home. I'm getting flipped off for the second time this stream. So at the end of the match, I'm almost positive Shinsuke won. Almost positive. Getting the light. Randy Orton comes out for a second. Weirdest thing. And wrestlers do this sometimes where they'll just come out and they'll be like, you're fighting me next. Visually. But his music hit. He comes out. Dude has a different facial hair combination every time you see him. This time he's clean-shaven boy. Recently a story that broke in the news, kind of like a backstage rumor type situation where Randy Orton may or may not have touched his privates or exposed his privates to new reporters and touched his privates with his hand and then stuck out his shake. And when the reporters wouldn't shake his hand, he'd be like, "You're not going to shake my hand? I'm Randall Orton." Right? And that's all I can think about when I see him now. Dick hands. We used to call it dick hands when we used to do that in high school. But he didn't do anything after that, right? Isaac, do you remember? He just came out, and then he looked, and then he turned around, and then he left.
Yeah, in chat they're saying that he accidentally walked into the arena.
He accidentally walked in the arena, yeah.
Wrong room.
Oh, I thought this was the, I was looking for the dressing room. Turns out there's 30,000 people in this one. Yeah. Orton was on his way to expose himself to Wrestlin Fred. Do we have anything else from Fred? Is it possible to throw to Fred again? No, he might be dead.
No, but not yet, I don't think. He's inching his way closer to the Barclays Center, and I feel like he's going to get booked.
He's inching his way closer to the Barclays Center.
It's over. There's nothing going on there. He can just go.
So he's maybe going to see a Nets game.
It's 12:30.
He's going to get some street peanuts. And then the Ronda Rousey match. Ronda Rousey challenging for Alexa Bliss's title. Alexa Bliss, who I think is, first of all, cute as a button. Hope she doesn't mind me saying so. And the champion and a great heel. She's always cheating to win. She's always doing downright dirty things and underhanded means to keep her title. Great old school heel work. To start off the match, Natalya Neidhart comes out with her father's jacket on. Her father just passed away a couple days ago, and that was very touching. You could tell she was trying to hold back some tears. Jim the Anvil Neidhart just passed away. She was part of the Hart Foundation. Bret the Hitman Hart's tag team partner in the Hart Foundation for years and years. Awesome wrestler. I loved him so much as a child. I had his action figure. It was the best. He had this awesome goatee. He had this dope-ass laugh. And he was just a tough dude. Just tough, really funny in promos. So Natalya, his daughter, who's also a wrestler, comes out wearing his jacket that he wore in the, I think it was 1993 SummerSlam when he and Bret won the tag team championship. So great, subtle tribute to him, and that was really cool to see. So this match was also kind of a squash match. Alexa Bliss did everything she could to kind of run away. It's really, when you look at the two next to each other, it's very much like the Baron Corbin, Finn Balor type situation where one of them looks like a little kid and then the other one's fucking Ronda Rousey, and she's a machine and she knocks people out for real very hard. I've seen it on the internet a lot. And she's very scary. And there's, on paper and visually, there's no way someone like Alexa Bliss could beat up someone like Ronda Rousey. So it's not really believable for them to have a back and forth match, getting mooned, back and forth match, and like a real competitive contest. So, you know, Alexa ran for her life. She could have just ran back to the locker room and retained her title. But Ronda Rousey was like, here, I'll show you how to be a champion. I'll sit in the middle of the ring. I'll close my eyes. I'll let you get a headlock on me. Another really old school thing that they used to do in the 80s all the time. When it was a crazy mismatch situation. And she tried for a second, and then her arm got braked. Ronda Rousey did her arm good. And Alexa taps out. New champion. Everyone goes nuts. Everyone's real happy for Ronda. Ronda gets on the turnbuckle and said, this one's for Roddy Piper. And everybody loves that because everybody knows that they had a cool relationship. They got real close before Roddy passed away. And then the Bellas, who have just showed up out of nowhere, come into the ring and we're like, right, it's us. And everyone's celebrating together. It's Natty, Ronda, and the Bella twins. And it was really interesting, unless I'm hearing stuff wrong, because that's also a possibility. Ask my wife. When the Bella twins entered the ring, everyone booed a lot and loud. And that was really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they...
Chat about the Bellas coming out. They thought maybe that they were going to jump Ronda.
That would have been great, because I read something like one of the Bellas is going to fight Ronda at the all-female pay-per-view that's coming up next. So that would have been great to have one of them attack her or try to take away her limelight and her moment of glory like that. But I think it was like a, you know, look at us. Yeah. It was weird. It was weird, and it seemed kind of, because it's not like the Bellas, storyline wise, it's not like the Bellas helped Ronda get to where she is or whatever. It was like, that's Ronda's moment, and here are these twins in the ring as well. We got to fill out some space in this ring. Are there any twins in the audience? And then the twins run into the ring. They get booed by 30,000 people. And then that was it. That was it for that. New champion, Ronda Rousey. How they're going to get the belt off of her is going to be that's like a female Brock Lesnar situation. She comes from, you know, UFC background. Physically, it doesn't look like anyone in the women's division could match her right now. We got, what's her name? Belzer? Shayna Belzer? Is that how you say her name? In coming up through NXT, and I think she's going to be on the main roster soon, and she's the only one who looks like she can kind of give her Ronda a run for her money, because they're kind of built the same, and they come from that Ultimate Fighting background. But aside from that, I don't know how they're going to get the belt off that lady ever. So congratulations to the new Raw Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey. Long live the queen with her braids and her weird eye makeup. And then we got the main event. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Second most good looking person on the card tonight. So Roman gets introduced to a chorus of boos, as he normally is. Brock gets introduced. And then, before the match could start, out comes Braun Strowman, the dude I was talking about before. What a good night of wrestling it was. I like when they do those through storylines, when a storyline kind of runs through the pay-per-view, and something from earlier is introduced later on. Braun Strowman, of course, if we could switch the camera to, and he's on it. Money in the Bank recipient. So what the Money in the Bank is you have a suitcase that you win by climbing up a ladder faster than littler boys. And in the Money in the Bank briefcase, there's a contract. You get a title shot whenever you want. And so Braun came out, he grabs a microphone and he's like, I'm a real champion and I'm a man and I can beat up both of you guys. Just so you know, I'm going to be at ringside this whole time. And as soon as one of you wins this damn championship, I'm going to cash in my Money in the Bank and I'm going to say I challenge for the title tonight because that's my right as a champion and Mr. Money in the Bank. So this giant 7 foot, 8,000 pound man, all muscle, again, like a wall with a ponytail, is outside just watching the match, right? Roman Reigns, as soon as Braun is done talking, is like, I got to take my shot. I got to shoot my shot. Not unlike Eminem in that movie where Johnny Depp is driving through the desert. Mom's spaghetti. Roman Reigns hits Brock Lesnar with everything he has. 3 Superman punches, 3 spears. And then he gets caught in a guillotine headlock. So it really looks like early on, this could be a match that ends early and either one of them could have won. And it's very exciting. And then we get a situation where Roman's going for another spear in the ring to administer onto Brock's abdomen section, which just looks like rocks. He just looks like, you know what Braun Strowman's midsection looks like when the worst person on the soccer team has to carry the bag of balls? He just looks like a bag of soccer balls. And it looks like his head's made out of ice and his body is a bag of soccer balls. And looks like he's made out of cement. So anyway, I digress. Brock moves out of the way. Roman goes flying out of the ring into Braun Strowman's face. Now Braun Strowman's on the ground. What happened to my face? Brock gains the upper hand because now they're both hurt. It takes care of Roman Reigns for a second. Then goes and gives Braun Strowman, an F5 onto the floor. Crazy talk. He then gets a chair, which is another running theme of the night, and essentially kills Braun Strowman with a chair, throws his case all the way up the ramp so he can't get it, and thinks, I'm free and clear. Roman takes this, he gets distracted or something, so Roman takes this chance to administer last couple spears onto Brock, beats him for the 1, 2, 3, clear in the ring. Brock is then free and clear of all of his contractual obligations. He goes back to the UFC to fight Daniel Cormier because from what I understand, Brock probably loves the paycheck but doesn't love wrestling so much anymore. So he's out. He's out of the picture. Roman Reigns, the new champion, and we all know that we're going to tune in on Monday night because Braun Strowman is just waiting, hopefully, after he gets out of the hospital with the briefcase, to cash it in and win the championship from a hurt, battered, tired, sweaty, sexy as hell Roman Reigns. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was SummerSlam 2018. Whew. Does the chat have anything to say, Isaac? Does that one kid who's been in the chat all night have anything to say, Isaac?
Kid has not said something in a while.
He might be gone he might be watching Drake playing Fortnite right now.
Parents that are not putting their kids to bed till they finish the stream.
I think we had a great stream. I think this was a successful rundown of the evening.
Everyone's curious as to what Fred is up to and the mystery opponent.
Okay. Well, we all know, I guess I watched it with you guys here in the studio. Wrestlin Fred, back from a long hiatus himself, has a mystery opponent or something in the back alley somewhere in Brooklyn. So could we cut to a live feed? What? Okay, yeah, I'm going to sign off. This is my sign off. I'm Mike Falzone. This is Mike in the Evening. First episode of Mike in the Evening. Hopefully something that will continue into the future. Mike in the Morning, as you know, comes out on youtube.com/Mike Falzone every Thursday and Friday. No, Tuesday and Friday. Sorry. Way to flub the sign off, idiot. That's a message to me when I watch this back later. Hopefully we'll have a cut down of this on YouTube at some point. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Isaac. Thank you to Jason for being here. James, Jameson, I said, with an M. Thank you, Jameson. We've only met twice. You're not committed to memory yet. But after this, you're in there forever. I'm going to get Jameson's face tattooed on my neck. Yeah. Let's throw it to Fred in some Brooklyn back alley, and hopefully he hasn't been arrested. Thank you for joining us, Fred, and thank you for watching the stream. Fred, who's your mystery opponent?
Hope you all enjoyed the stream. Hope you had a great time. Now that crap is over, we get into what you really been waiting for. And that's Wrestlin Fred taking on his special mystery opponent. So let's bring him in. Oh, it's Trish.
This is a brand new studio, so don't touch anything with your dirty little baseball gloves.
What can you say about Trish? She hates this show.
Yada 5. Got it? Not a second past 5. No. No. 5. On the dot. That's it.
They should have called themselves
Okay.
someone's
It's
real
fine.
drawing of some Ghostbusters.
It's 5.
Because they sure as hell were the real deal.
It's 5.
Oh, Trish.
Son, get out of here! I told you it's...
Trish, how can
Get
you
out
do
of
that?
here!
What are you doing? Oh, boy. Ooh, that hurt my head. Oh, that's a big pain in my head.
It's 5 o'clock.
Fr-
He's out of his time.
It's Fred before me.